Hello everybody! It's happy hour. Let's let everybody get in here. Take some time for the room to get active. Take some time for you to pour yourself a happy hour drink. I know it's not 5 yet, but hey, in these times, 4:30 is close enough. So welcome. I see everybody pouring into the room. Oh yeah, keep them coming. While we're waiting for everybody to get in, you can feel free to share what your beverage of choice is for happy hour. I'll tell you that I have a green kombucha tea for you non-drinkers out there. Once again in my throwback Raylon mug. And then for those of you that needed something a little more strong, I have my Quarantini, my straight old martini here. This is probably what I'll be sipping from this point on. Been waiting for this video to go on to have my first sip, so I needed that. So I think my favorite drink last time that somebody was drinking was Fireball. So I know what kind of day you were having, whoever that was, I forget. So I see we're all pouring in, so those of you that have astutely observed my ridiculous mustache, thank you for making those comments. Yes, this is in support of my love and solidarity for all my hairdresser beauty professionals out there that are stuck at home. I am keeping this mustache until we are officially back in action. So for all our sake, hopefully that's sooner than later. Yes, thank you, Steve. The most memorable part of this will be my mustache. Yes, it's going to get even better. So I haven't seen anybody's give me comments on what their drinks are yet. Be interested to hear what everyone's drinking. So anyway, you did not miss a lot, actually. We're just getting started. All right, so should we get into it? I guess just while we're still warming up here, I wanted to point out something that's not related to this happy hour, which is we sent out on our Art of Business channels is our kitchen beautician contest. So while all this stressful stuff's happening and a lot of bad stuff's happening, we just wanted to, we figured we had all these talented, creative, awesome beauty professionals with all this passion stuck at home and nothing to do to channel or to let that outlet of creativity go into the world. So we thought the kitchen beautician contest would be fun. So as a result, we want to encourage you to get your team to participate. We want to see some fun, hilarious, creative ways of, sort of hybrid of being at home and all the things that are in your house and your family with some cool beauty and fashionable looks. So send that kitchen beautician contest out to your people. That's funny. Whatever you got, Brian, start now. All right, so here is, to get started, we're going to start now. I wanted to just first say that everyone in our business is still thinking of you guys, and not a minute goes by with just hoping whatever we can do to help you. And this is just a crazy, crazy, uncertain time, and no one knows how long it's going to last. So we're just going to keep doing what we can while the information comes out. And the purpose of this happy hour is just to have, just to stay connected, but also try to help inform you and give you little tidbits as you're going through this. So, so the topic du jour is the SBA loans, small business loans. I think if you're watching the news like me and you're reading everything, you're reading about these small business loans. And if you're like me, maybe some of you had known more about SBA loans going into this than I did. But it's something that we talk about all the time. And quite honestly, I didn't know much about it. I certainly had never applied for one. And I know I hadn't applied, many of us have not applied for the emergency version. And so for our own benefit and Art of Business, we have begun to explore and reach out to our network and our professional advisors to understand what they are and what you need to do to get one. And as I'm doing that, it sort of really dawned on me how much more complicated it was than I thought. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how about all our salon customers out there? How are they navigating this? So I'm gonna give you a crash course on SBA loans, and I promise you, if you haven't started drinking yet, you're probably gonna want to after you hear this happy hour. But it is a little more detailed and complex, and there's a little more to know than what's on the surface. So with that, let's dive into it. So here is the first thing I think you want to know about SBA loans, and I will say, actually, let me give a qualifier. You're about to be educated on this by somebody that just learned about it themselves, and I just feel like rather than hearing it from someone that doesn't understand what the plight and what you guys are going through, it'd be better just for me to give you what I've learned in layman's terms, and then if you want to learn more, we're going to give you some resources to, on the recorded version, there'll be some links to some more detailed resources that you can continue, including some potential people you could go to get SBA help. So, so this is basically very 101. Please don't consider this legal advice because I barely have learned this myself, but I think you'll learn a thing or two. I certainly learned a lot. The things that I'm about to share with you, I did not know before I learned them myself. So, okay, here is the first most important thing you need to know. There are currently two types of SBA loans that are out there. The first one is the traditional SBA loan that has been around for a while, that's not new. And then there is the emergency SBA loan, which has the, if you see the abbreviation EIDL, which stands for emergency something loan, that is the second variety. And there are some distinctions, and I'm going to explain those to you because some of you will have a choice between one or the other. Some of you will only be able to probably qualify for one, and each of them has some differences. And so that's what we're going to talk about first, and then we're going to get into the documentation that you will need regardless of which one you do. And it's pretty cumbersome and complex, and which will kind of get to the punchline of really what I wanted to share with you guys, which is what you can do now. So, sorry, I'm getting text message to make sure I'm coming through already. Okay, so anyway, the first one, let's go into the regular SBA loan first. And some of you guys may even have these or have applied in the past, so if this is review, I apologize. But I just want to establish this before we get to the other ones so you know the differences. So first and foremost, a traditional SBA loan is borrowed through traditional lenders. So basically, your local bank, many banks provide this service, many other lending institutions provide this service, but these loans are through third-party lenders, which are your traditional lending companies, and are not directly loaned through the government. And so the benefit of that is there's many more people doing them, probably people that, companies that you work with already, and they're fast. Traditionally, these loans are processed much quicker, and so that's the good news of these. The interest rate on these loans is 6%. So while that's a good rate of interest, traditionally, historically, the other loan's a little lower. We'll get to that in a second. However, not everyone's going to qualify for these loans. And so here are some of the requirements. Now, I will put this large caveat in place that this giant legislation that is attempting to be passed in Congress has not gone through. And there could be some implications to what's in that bill that might affect SBA, and if and when that happens, I will get that out to you as soon as possible. But everything I'm telling you is kind of sort of, as is, and if anything gets impacted by this new bill, so be it. So, as is, the rate is 6%. Your FICO score to get one of these loans must be 650 points or higher, and traditionally, you have to have a history of positive cash flow and be in business at least for 2 years. I'm going to take a sip now because some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to qualify for that. So, if you're still in the game and can qualify for that, here's some more information you want to know about this. And most of you would not be asking for more than $350,000, but that's an important criteria because there are some larger salons out there that might be listening. If you borrow $350,000 or less, then the requirements or the criteria of that loan are a little less stringent. Most notably, that they will take a second lien on your business assets as part of that. Now, what that means is if you currently have debt tied to your business, you do not need to go to that lender and ask them to subordinate that debt, which is a very technical term, but it's a pain in the butt. So, and sometimes they won't do it. So as long as you're below $350,000, they'll take a second lien, which means it won't impact any current debt that you already have on your business. So unless you're a big salon or you really need you really need a large sum of money, you're always better if you can stay under that $350,000 threshold. Also, a personal guarantee will be needed for this loan, and if anybody that is a 20% owner in the business or higher will need to sign that personal guarantee. So if you have multiple partners, they're all going to need to be on that personal guarantee, even if they're minority owners, as long as they're over a 20% ownership. Okay, so let me make sure I covered everything on that loan, because we're going to the next one. I think that covers most of the traditional loan. Okay, so now the emergency loan that's being kicked around, that everybody's talking about, this is the new, this concept is not new, but what is new is that coronavirus has been categorized as an emergency. The last huge emergency that these loans were used for was Hurricane Katrina. And so most states, and in some cases certain counties within states, have declared an emergency, which enable these loans to be a possibility. Now as I see all the people watching, not everybody is in our direct marketing area, but I can tell you that Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey are definitely declared disaster areas. New York, I think is, I'm not 100% sure. If you're outside of those states, you might want to look at the SBA website to see if your state has, or your county has declared an emergency. In some cases, it's the whole state. In some cases, it's individual counties. But to qualify for one of these loans, you have to have that declaration. Otherwise, there is no possibility to get this loan. So that's something you need to check first and foremost. Now, let me tell you the advantages to this loan over the other option. First and foremost, the rate is 3.5%, so it's cheaper. And the payback period, which I neglected to tell you in the last one, is longer. So while in the regular SBA is 10 years, this can be up to 30-year payback. So basically, it's a very long loan period, which is extremely beneficial. And in some cases, there's actually saying below $350,000, there's been some things ballyhooed around it. It isn't concrete, but maybe there's even the potential of loan forgiveness depending on certain parameters. However, that being said, you should approach these with the concept that they are loans. It is not a handout. You will need to pay this back. So the big benefit of the emergency loan, if you're in an area that qualifies, it's a lower rate, a longer payback, and there is no FICO minimum, and there is no 2-year. In other words, if you're a newer salon, less than 2 years, you don't need that minimum to qualify. So every salon qualifies from the sense of that they are in business less than 2 years, and there is no profitability or cash flow requirement. So if you are not profitable or you're in business less than 2 years, so which means you will not qualify for the other one, this one will be an option. However, here is the big drawback to this one. It is at current directly applied via the government. So now this could change, and maybe they'll enable third-party lenders to do this, but currently these loans you have to apply directly to the SBA and to the government, which, as you know, if you've been to the DMV, things move very slowly when you are asking the government for anything, especially a very large check. Now, nobody knows how long these checks are going to take, but here's what we can say. It took 4 months on average for people in Katrina to get these checks. And as you know, this is a very widespread challenge. There's a lot of businesses that are experiencing incredible hardship. So I have no crystal ball, but I suspect this money is not going to come fast. So that is probably the largest and most meaningful drawback of the emergency loan. Other than that, it seems like it's more favorable. So you can balance your ability to qualify for the regular one and your need to get money fast with the idea that it's cheaper and more forgiving to have the emergency loan, but meaningfully slower. So here's, so I think I might have said this, but in case I forgot, the rate on this loan is 3.75%, so it's considerably less than the 6%. Again, $350,000. You can get more than that, but it's meaningfully easier to get the loan and what contingencies are on the loan, including liens and what have you, if you're doing less than $350,000. I can't. This is one of those things where I don't entirely know if I wouldn't quote me on this, but I think if you're doing over $350,000, you might actually have to put a lien on your house as well. So for most of us, I think we can stay under that threshold. So again, this one, if you're any owner that's 20% or greater in terms of percent ownership of your salon or your business, will need to be part of the personal guarantee. So everyone's got to be on board to have that guarantee for you to get any of these loans. And then again, for both of these loans, in terms of what expenses you could use the money for, this is another area where it seems to be a little bit of a gray area. But here is one thing that they have said. You can only use it for expenses that are incurred, which means if during this disaster you have laid off your people, you cannot claim your payroll expenses for the time that they are laid off as justification for this money. But any payroll expenses you do incur this money can be used for rent, supplies, anything like that, but it can't be used for expenses that did not occur. So now that's a little bit of a gray area, because what happens when you bring people back on your payroll? Can you use it for that? And they haven't really said that specifically, but I think we're going under the assumption that you can. The other thing, let me take a breath, and then I'm going to transition into what you're going to need to do to get one of these, because this is really important. So, I know I'm throwing up on everyone. This is very complicated stuff, but here is what we've learned, or what I've learned, and I think where I got a little nervous on behalf of all of our customers. Applying for these loans is not easy, and there's a lot of documentation. It's not like you just show them your driver's license and they send you a check in the mail. So there's a ton of documentation that's needed, and I wanted to get this out now, even though I personally am just learning this, because we're all sitting at home, and this can be something that you work on while you have time on your hands, because, exactly, now you want a martini. That's what I was saying, Tina. While you have time on your hands, because it's going to take you time to gather this information, and even if you don't necessarily know that you're going to absolutely need the money, my feeling is get the work started now, apply for it maybe even. You can always give the money back or not accept the money or cancel your application, but I have a feeling there's going to be an overwhelming amount of these applications in, and my preference is all our customers get to the front of the line, or as close to the front of the line as possible. So here is what they're going to ask you. What I'm about to explain to you will be on the link in the recorded version of this video, so you can get back and look at it. But first and foremost, what you're going to need is 3 to 6 months of your expenses, because generally speaking, that is about the range that you can get for your loans without a ton of hardship. Anytime you're going over about 6 months of expenses, I think it becomes a little more challenging, so I've heard. So that's something that you definitely want to keep an eye on. So that's some documentation you're going to need. In addition to that, you're going to need 3 years of your business and personal tax returns. Now, I've also been told that your 2019 tax returns will meaningfully help you in this process. Now, the government has pushed back the deadline for your taxes 3 months. And Shirley. Now, yes, now you can see why you need a drink, right? It's going to get worse, so get ready. The government has pushed back the deadline for your taxes for 3 months. So if you owe money for your taxes, do not pay it before that deadline. That's my own personal opinion. This is not accounting advice. However, you can file your taxes without paying them. So it may behoove us all, if you can, or if you're close to getting your taxes done for 2019, to file those, because I've been told that those applications might be processed quicker. But nobody really knows any of this. This is all speculation. But either way, you're going to need 3 years of business and personal tax returns. Secondly, you're going to need a personal financial statement for every single person that is on the personal guarantee. So anybody that is over 20% ownership of your salon or your business is going to need to fill out a personal financial statement. I can share with you, I just did one today. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. Now, it only takes probably, depending on how accessible the information is, a couple hours, but you're going to need to do it. You're going to need the information to do it, and the document that you're going to fill out will be part of the link that we share with you on the recorded version. You're going to also need a business debt schedule, which is a document that is in this link that we're providing. It's not a very complex document, but it's basically an explanation of all the debt you owe and what those payments look like. And then lastly, once again, you're going to need those 3 to 6 months of your expenses, just because that's what you're going to potentially be asking for when you get the loan. So that is about everything I've ever learned on Sba Loans. I think the final parting shot on that, well, let me see. I do have a question. If your return is done, you can submit the P&L and balance sheet for 2019. According to Marianne Brooks, she said she did apply, and if your return isn't done, you can submit your P&L and your balance sheet for 2019 without having your full tax return done. That's awesome information. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing. So just to restate, so for 2019, a lot of us haven't finished our taxes, don't plan on doing that right away. If you have your P&L and balance sheet, I suppose, according to Marianne, that will suffice for 2019 in this case. So here's what I'm suggesting. For anyone that thinks they're going to need money to get through this, a loan, SBA is a great resource for that. It is more complicated than simply just asking for money. We have time on our hands. I think you should begin the process of going through the documentation, and if you don't need it down the road, then you can obviously discontinue your application. But I think it's better safe than sorry for many of us. And so we want to I just personally want to be a resource and help you get through this process any way I could. I think that's it. I didn't expect to take questions, but if they don't have any questions, maybe we could do questions. This is going to be risky because I don't know that I'm going to answer them. Let's see. I'll give it a second. Well, I'm not seeing any pop up other than some thank yous. So let me just give a closing thought. I love you guys. Everyone in our business love you guys. So grateful to have you. I'm so proud to be part of the beauty professional and salon community. And we're going to get through this. The only good thing that has I'll get to the only good thing that's come out of this is the memes, and including the hairdresser related memes, have been fantastic. I'm sure you've all seen them online. So that's been fun to see, and I always marvel at the creativity and resiliency of our industry, because I'm getting okay, I see 2 comments. Number one is some people join late and they want to know what the hell the deal is my mustache is. This is in solidarity of my salon people. It's staying there and getting thicker until we're all back in business. And then secondly, Tabitha, you did make a point that's a good one I want to bring up. Some states and local counties do have business and economic development funds or organizations that also give loans. They do somewhat function like SBAs, but if you have an economic development authority, Pennsylvania does have one, I think New Jersey does have one, you may want to investigate that. I'm not talking about it because, quite honestly, I don't know much about it, and they're very unique and different by county and by state, so I don't know what the availability is. But that could be something if you Google like Economic Development Association or Economic Development Organization in your state or in your county, there might be some loan assistance available as well. So with that, I think I got through all I wanted to get through. A reminder, kitchen beautician contest. I want to see some killer fun looks. I don't care if it's your dogs or their kids or putting like, crazy kitchen appliances in the hair. I think it'll be fun. I'd love to see what everyone can do with their spare time at home. And I will say one last somewhat business plug. My Salon to Me is available for our salons that want to be able to stay in retail. We are officially, our warehouse is closed by order of the governor for wholesale. However, e-commerce businesses are allowed to stay open for now. So if Amazon can ship to your customers, the good news is so can you via My Salon to Me. We've had a ton of new salons sign up. If you don't know about it, ask your salon business specialist. But we can continue to keep you in the retail game while this rest of this nightmare is unfolding. So with that, thanks for joining me for happy hour. Love you guys. Cheers.